Hey everyone, today I am going to spend a little bit of time and show you how to take a WooCommerce site that you've created locally, deploy it to a production site on Liquid Web, and then create a staging site. Utilizing a staging site is an excellent way to maintain a proper WordPress workflow because it allows you to perform work in a sandbox environment that has the same hardware and software configuration as your production site. This is extremely important when you're dealing with an e-commerce site because you don't want to accidentally make changes to existing products or publish new products before you're ready. In this video, I plan to show you how to take a locally installed WooCommerce site created in Desktop Server and manually deploy it to Liquid Web. While Desktop Server does have some deployment tools built in, it's important to learn how to deploy manually in case an issue arises. Additionally, these steps can be used whether you're using Desktop Server or another local development tool, as long as WP CLI and PHP are installed. On my screen, you can see that I have two browser windows open. On the left side, I have a local WooCommerce site created in Desktop Server, and on the right side, I have my Managed WordPress Hosting account on Liquid Web open. To start, I'm going to create a new site on my Liquid Web Managed WordPress Hosting account. Let's call it Woo Staging as the nickname, and then I will click Create Site. After a few minutes, the new production site is created, but you will still have to wait for it to generate the SSL certificate. Once this is complete, we can move on to the step of deploying your locally created site to your production site. Now that our production site has been created, we can begin the process of deploying our locally created site to our production or live site. Depending on where we are in the Liquid Web control panel, we will either click on My Sites or Back to Main on the left-hand column of the Liquid Web account. We are then presented with a list of WordPress sites that have been created. I'm going to click on the Manage Site button that corresponds to my Woo staging site. The first thing we are going to want to do is send our locally created WordPress files up to the production server. There are several different options available for uploading the files, but for this video we are going to use FileZilla, which is a completely free program, and SFTP, which stands for Secure File Transfer Protocol. In order to find our SFTP credentials for this site, I am going to scroll down to the SFTP/SSH credentials section of the Liquid Web dashboard. As you can see, we are shown the IP address, secure port, and the username. However, we do need to generate a new password. Once the Generate New Password button is clicked, a new secure password will be displayed. We're now going to set up our FTP client for file transfer. While I'm using FileZilla for this video, the credential information contained in the Liquid Web dashboard will work on any standard FTP program. In FileZilla, I can either enter the information in the Quick Connect field, or alternatively, I can open the Site Manager button and add it as a permanent entry for future use. In this case, I will be copying and pasting the information from the Liquid Web dashboard into the Quick Connect fields. Once connected to the server, navigate to the directory where your WordPress installation resides. In this case, it can be found at Home, S81, HTML. Rename the WP Content directory to have as a backup. I'm going to rename it to wp-content.old. Now go back and single-click on the directory named HTML. On the left-hand side, navigate to the directory where your local WordPress installation resides. Select the WP Content directory, right-click, then click Upload. The time it takes to upload your WP Content directory depends on several factors such as internet speed and size of your site, so plan on this taking a minimum of several minutes. The video has been sped up here, but it took a total of about 10 minutes. Next, we need to copy some important Liquid Web must-use plugins from our old WP Content directory to the new one. Double-click on the wp-content.old directory and find the mu-plugins directory. Click and drag the mu plugins directory to the new WP Content directory. Verify that the mu plugins directory has been moved and now resides under the new WP Content directory. We're now going to back up the local database and prepare it for migration to the Liquid Web server. While there may be several quicker options to perform this task, I'm going to show you how to do it manually using PHP and WP CLI. WP CLI is a command line tool that may seem intimidating at first, but is easy to use and extremely efficient, so don't be scared. I will be using Desktop Server as it automatically installs PHP and a CLI interpreter. If you are not using Desktop Server, consult the documentation that pertains to your local host environment for instructions on how to run phpMyAdmin and WP CLI. With Desktop Server started, click on the Sites button. A new browser tab will open with your locally installed sites listed. Select the Database button that corresponds to the site you're migrating. phpMyAdmin will now open and display the database associated with your site. The first thing you will want to do before we make changes to your database to reflect the production site is back up your database. Click on the Export tab at the top of phpMyAdmin. It is very important that you verify that it's exporting all of the tables from your database and not a single table. This is indicated at the top of your screen. Next, click on the Go button. phpMyAdmin will create a .sql file and save it to your Downloads directory. You can now safely make the necessary changes to your database. With your database saved, click on the Desktop Server Sites tab. Or, if you are not using Desktop Server, open up WP CLI and verify that you are in the local instance that corresponds to your site. From the Desktop Server Sites tab, click on the button that says DSCLI that corresponds to the site you are wishing to deploy. A terminal window will now open up. Warning: this next step will break your local site. This is why we made a backup of your database. Type in the following command: WP space search dash replace your local domain name space production name and then press enter. After a few seconds, you will see a report of the number of entries that were changed. In this case, there were 65 changes made. Once this is done, you can close out your terminal window by typing exit. An easy way to verify that the changes were made in your database is to go back to the phpMyAdmin tab, click on Structure, and double-click on the WP_Options table. Both your site URL and home tables should reflect the live domain name. Click on the name of your database at the top of your phpMyAdmin page. Now select Export and click the Go button, and another file will be created that can be imported to your live site. If this is a currently operational site, please keep in mind that the following steps will render the old site useless, so we would recommend that you make a current backup of the site by using the Backup option located in the left-hand column of the Liquid Web dashboard. It is now time to migrate the database to the production site. In the Liquid Web dashboard, click on the phpMyAdmin button in the upper right-hand corner. A new tab will open up displaying phpMyAdmin. In the left-hand column, select the name of the database that corresponds to your site. In this case, it's S81. Click on the Structure tab at the top of the page. Underneath the tables, place a tick mark next to Check All. Now, in the drop-down menu, select Drop. You will now be asked to verify that you would like to drop the table. Select Yes. You will now have a database with no tables, as you can see here. Now it's time to import the database that we created in our local site. Click on the Import tab at the top of phpMyAdmin. Next, click on Choose File and navigate to the directory where your SQL file was stored. In this case, it was placed in my Downloads directory. Double-click on the database file and then click on the Go button. After a bit, depending on the size of your database, phpMyAdmin will display the new tables that have been imported. Your site should now be live. Verify this by going to the live URL of your site. Once you have verified that your site is up, we recommend that you log into your WordPress dashboard and resave your permalinks. Now that your site is live, creating your staging site is quick and easy. Back in your Liquid Web dashboard, select Staging, and then select Copy Live Site to Staging. This starts the process of copying your live site over to your staging environment. After a few minutes, the site will be created, and you will have an exact duplicate of your local site on both your production and staging environments. We now have one bit of cleanup to perform, which is to restore the functionality of your local site. This is done similarly to the database import process we performed on the live server. Back in your local phpMyAdmin page, be sure that you are looking at the database that corresponds to the site you're working on. This is easily verified by looking at the WP Options table. It will show the URL of the live site. Once that you have verified that you're working on the right database, click on the database name at the top of the phpMyAdmin screen. Scroll down to the bottom of the tables, click next to Check All, and then in the drop-down menu, select Drop. Verify that you would like to delete all tables by clicking the Yes button. Once the tables have been dropped, click on the Import tab and choose the first database backup that we made. Click Go to import that file, and after a few minutes, depending on the size of your database, your local site will be restored. We hope you enjoyed this video and learned how easy it is to manually deploy and create a staging site on Liquid Web's managed WordPress hosting. While this video is specific to Liquid Web, the process for manually deploying a WordPress website is similar along most hosts. To learn how to maintain a proper workflow to synchronize content between your sites, we invite you to watch our WP Site Sync video tutorials. Our video content is frequently updated, so we highly recommend you check back often or subscribe to our channel to continually get WordPress tips and tricks designed to help make your workflow more efficient. To download and learn more about the FileZilla project, visit filezilla-project.org. Visit wp-cli.org to learn more about the power of the command line interface and take your WordPress development to the next level.